In this video, I'm going to be discussing how you might accidentally break one of the 10 commandments that is just as bad as murder, stealing, or cheating on your wife. Now, this commandment is I shall not bear false witness against my neighbor, or just means that you will not lie and get somebody hurt with your storytelling. Meaning, if you're going to talk about somebody else, then they need to not have their life affected by it like mine has. Now, I have to talk about what happened to me, or I'll never, ever get my life back to live. I am still, after 25 years, living in a dead woman's fantasy land because my father and mother loved to make up fantasies. Now, here's one that I'm sure my father has fallen into because he just doesn't care what the consequences of his actions that fall on me. Okay, let's say you ask my father if I got an education, and he said yes. Well, the next question should be, what type of education did he have in New Mexico? And he says he had a teacher, a private teacher or something like that. Oh, he did. The whole time he was there? Let's say the program lied to him. Now, I didn't. The teacher quit after 3 months, and we just played outside and did extracurricular activity like chopping rocks, finding animals, gluing stuff together. And this was literally way after 2nd and 3rd grade. There was no classes, no teacher, nothing. The teacher could not continue. There was age groups everywhere from 6, well, there was one 6-year-old, but the average is 8 to 13. And there was only one teacher. She had to travel for about 3 hours to get there. And on top of this, she wasn't getting paid enough. So after 3 months of seeing this teacher, she brought all the kids into a room. So the commute was too much. The staff member said it was because of money. She left. Now, I have told my father this several times, but he doesn't listen. No, he'd rather live in a fantasy land where he's perfect. So, if you ask him about that, he'll give you, let's say, a teacher's name. Oh, did he have a teacher? What was her name? Okay. So he gives the teacher's name. But now you ask him, did he get all classes? And my father lies and goes, oh, yeah, he got classes the whole 18 months. Now, that would be a lie. Now, why is my father lying? Because he didn't ask. He's making assumptions. He's bearing false witness. What does my father really have the right to say? My father has the right to say, I was told that there would be a teacher, but Zach has reported, and we have sued this place, and it has been very clear that Zach did not get any education while there. It is very obvious he was missing, and he got worse in those 18 months. It's very obvious that he was not learning anything in those 18 months. He had no more abilities than he went in with. But my father won't mention any of that. Instead, he'll lie and go, nope, there was a teacher there the whole time. Zach's a liar and a thief, and he's making up stories. And then I get hurt, and I die in the woods, or I have to suffer in the hospital because my father wants to break one of the 10 commandments again. All my father can say is he was told that there would be a teacher. That's all he knows. He got to see me only for 18 hours and 18 months. My father would pop by for 1 hour a month with my mother, buy me a Coca-Cola, and then leave. That's it. 1 hour a month. He did not look at the place. There was no grounds yet. The place wasn't built yet. The place wasn't built yet. It's that simple. Years after I left, they started building stuff. They started putting in new buildings and pools and things, but it wasn't built. It was a fake it till you make it deal. They wanted to build a program, but they didn't have the funding. So they took parents' money to babysit kids in a cabin, open field, let them run around. They didn't have a teacher yet. They didn't have a proper education, books yet. They didn't have anything they needed yet. They were short-staffed. They were pulling people undertrained from night staff who were abusing the little girls and boys. There's all different types of problems here. It's very obvious there's no education there. It's very obvious that it's unsafe. I mean, there's rattlesnakes everywhere in the field. There's a black widow under the sink. Anybody who could walk through that place could easily find dangerous stuff everywhere being untaken care of. So no, there was no education for me for those 18 months. Even during the 3 months we did have a teacher, There was so many age groups that they only brought us in. I was with one other person. That's 2 kids. We got 1 hour. That's it. Each kid got 1 hour, and that's it, because she had all these different grades, and she didn't have a lot of time because she had to commute. She only stayed for 4 hours, so she did 4 classes, 1 hour apiece, and that's it. And then that was only for the first 3 months I was there out of the 18 months. So there was no education for me. But did my father admit this? Did he ever talk to me about it? Did he try to catch me up? No, they called me stupid, called me slow, got me extra drugs, interfered with my ability to find education, and even lied. Oh, and they dropped me in a public school with me missing 4 years. So literally, I went from like 3rd grade all the way up to like 5th grade. Or yeah, probably something like that. No, probably more than that. But I'm missing 4 years actually, because I'm missing 1 year. I redid 1st grade. So I'm about to miss a year after this. So or right when we moved to Chelmsford, there is some other school that I move into. I forget which one this is, but it's not a public school. It's pretty far away. Takes us a good like 30 minutes, an hour to get there. It's during the swine flu. But this school was a scamming also. There was no classes. We just got to play with Yu-Gi-Oh cards and toys, and the teacher would just leave us in the room to play. All the kids, and that school got in trouble. They got caught. You can't have 15 kids playing with toys all day long. Because all we did, we played with action figures and Yu-Gi-Oh cards. We played wiffle ball, went outside for lunch, and that's it. And that would happen 5 days a week all year round. There was no books, no classes. Now, I told my father that this was going on. He called the school. The school lied through their teeth about it, obviously. School's not going to go, yeah, we're stealing your money. No, they're not going to do that until a lawsuit comes. When eventually it did come. Eventually a father actually cared about his son, and they did something about their son not having an education. But see, I didn't get an education way before this happened, so they could care less. They didn't even want to have a conversation with me about it. I tell my father that I am not having classes. He calls the school. The school says, don't fucking bother with it. I go in the next day, and the teacher pulls me in front of class, says, well, oh, you guys got to sit in those chairs all day long. And I don't want you guys moving. And Zach, you're going to stand up front in this class. All the kids go, why, why? Because Zach told his parents what we're doing in this classroom. So, yeah. And then she sits down in her chair. I'm standing scared now. Everybody's like, boo, Zach, boo. How dare you tell your parents that we're not doing classes? Boo. And I'm about to cry right in front. Eventually, a teacher, after about an hour, stands up, leaves the room. One of the boys gets up, moons her out the door. All of them get up, go to play with toys. I'm still standing there like, what? And then I just go sit down in my seat. Of course, my father doesn't care. He's already been told what's going on. And he's already been told about New Mexico. He's already been told about the overdose in Westford. He's already been told my mother is acting inappropriately with me. He's already been told I feel funny and weird, and the medications are making me drowsy and sick. I can't go out on Halloween because I'm sick, and so many weird things I'm telling my father about. Even when I tell my father my mother is stealing my medication. Oh, it's only one time, it's okay. So no matter how many times I tell my father there's an emergency that needs to be handled, I'm the one that has to pay the price. Now, I already told my father what's going on. How many times do I got to be punished for somebody else's actions before somebody does the right thing? The thing is, my father and mother will never do the right thing if they're the ones that have to do any work. Never. Never, never, never. If they have to take responsibility for an overdose, never, never, never. If my mother's in trouble because she did something, never, never, never. If my mother doesn't get her way, never, never, never. If my father has to get me on Social Security by taking responsibility for his actions, never, never, never. I need medical care because they spent so long poisoning me, or I'll die, and literally they're putting my life at risk, and I'm asking them just to open their mouth to save my life, never, never, never. I've asked them to have a conversation with me in the living room, maybe about my mother's lying or about my mother blaming me for drinking, and I want them to hear my side and talk about it. No, never, never, never. I have a recording, and I'm trying to get my father to understand my mother's lying about stuff, and she's manipulating, and she's drugging me, and she's beating me with rules in another room in front of his own grandson Just so many fucking problems. Even my mother's admitting that she thinks it's okay to give extra medication to a child that child's not prescribed as punishments. She's also admitting that she gave a full bottle of Epicac to a child as a punishment. But does my father do anything about this? Never, never, never. When my sister and my brother-in-law and me are all horrified by my father's answer, does he understand or try to look into this? Does he ask any follow-up questions? Never, never, never. Why never, never, never? Why would he not ask follow-up questions when his son is at the doctor's office saying he lost his sight? And the mother's making up excuses, and the doctor looks concerned, and the teachers are calling home saying there's a sudden change in your son's body, and there's physical therapy and speech therapy being started because of the sudden change, and the mother's putting your son in ballet, a girly sport, and nothing's making any sense. There's all these drugs involved. Maybe you should look into this and stop your wife from acting like this? Never, never, never. Now, why is it never, never, never? Because my father can never take responsibility for anything that makes him feel bad like he did something wrong. If my father did something wrong, it never happened. My father has never done anything wrong in his entire life. Never with me. Oh, I have never done anything wrong with Zach. Zach, the only thing he's ever said sorry for is New Mexico, and he's never even said sorry about what really happened. If I say, I got no education in New Mexico, he's not going to say sorry. He's going to say, you're a liar. No, you got perfect everything. If I complain, hey, Dad, when you sued New Mexico, you got what you wanted. You wanted me by your hip attached. You put me in there for attachment disorder. Well, guess what? Now I'm afraid for my life, and I never want to leave your side. You got what you wanted, but I'm going to need an education. Does he think about that? Does he have a conversation? No, that would be too hard for him. Instead, he wants to recoup his losses, move me to Maine, homeschool me, and buy and sell properties. So is he truly sorry that I missed out on 18 months of school? No, he won't even have a conversation about it. So that's what he does. He says sorry, but he's not actually saying sorry. He just wants it to go away. He doesn't want to talk about it. He doesn't want to deal with it. He doesn't want his son to live. He doesn't care if I live at the age of 19. He doesn't care if I actually can read or write. He doesn't care if I need to catch up. No, he cares about calling me stupid and retarded after I've missed out on 4 years of education. I mean, if he told everybody how severe my conditions were, if he told everybody about what I was talking about in Westford, about the overdose, if they was talking about how I missed out on education, if he talked about how I'm missing 4 years and that's it, if they talked about how I was doing fine on first and second grade, but my mother held me back and it's nothing more than my mother's decision-making skills. But instead, the teachers go, well, he was held back on first grade. We have a little note here that's something to do with the mother, but how could the mother hold it? She probably just recommended it, when really, the teacher wanted me to go to second grade. She demanded I go to second grade, but then my mother fought with her, yelled at her to hold me back so I would be older than the other kids. I literally was like the head of class. I was 5th in the spelling bee. I came in 2nd with the little puzzle thing that's like for brain testing. I was always on the head, and I was definitely supposed to go to second grade, but my mother fought. Then we got New Mexico, and then don't forget, I'm brought to Texas right after an overdose, a neurological disorder. I'm sucking on my skin, and I had my mother's acting crazy, giving me full bottles of Epicac. But no, we're going to move to El Paso, Texas, and the doctors, teachers, nobody has any clue what just happened to me. So that's going to cause me some emotional issues and slow me down. Then there's New Mexico, 18 months with no classes, no school, nothing. Then we moved to Maine, add on another 6 months with no schools, no classes, nothing. So 2 years with no classes, no nothing. Then my father drops me off in a public school and doesn't tell them that my mother and father just erased 3 years of education and had me reevaluated for a year. So we've had me redo first grade, we had me reevaluated for a year, so I learned nothing new, and we've missed out on a complete 18 months plus a complete 6 months. And have they discussed this with anybody? Had they discussed that my mother is making bad decisions? No. So instead, they think I was born like this. Because now we have no medical records on me. I got medical records in Lawrence. I got medical records in Westford. I got medical records in El Paso, Texas. I got medical records in New Mexico. I got medical records in Maine. I got medical records in Chelmsford. I got medical records all over the place. So nobody knows what I was born like. Even though I was born fine. First grade, going fine. Second grade, it was going fine. The only problem by second grade was my mother's decisions. My mother made the decision to give me a full bottle of Ipecac. My mother slipped me pills to try to make me quiet, and I had an overdose. I'm going to the doctors, and there's something wrong with my nervous system. My mother's having me held back for no other reason than to make me older than the other kids, because she has this whole idea to make me into a gimp. Every decision she ever made from day one of meeting this woman were bad decisions that make your son disabled. It's very clear. If you take every decision my mother made, from the time she adopted me all the way till the day she died, where she died of liver failure. The last time I saw my mother, she had 20% of her liver working. She was lying to the doctors to come home and drink, and she blew past her family and went straight for the liquor cabinet. My father was trying to run from the situation. I had to chase him down, tell him to handle his wife and stop her from drinking. The whole situation was all fucked up, and I went upstairs, and next thing to know, she was dead. I'm not allowed to visit my dying mother because I know too much. My father is lying and saying, oh, it's for his own good. No, it's not for my own fucking good. How good does that do me? Okay, Dad, for your own good, you stay home. What? You can't do that. Why? Why can't I do that? She's my mother. She's your wife. I am fucking an adult at the age of almost 20. You're fucking almost as old as a fucking child. You're almost in your 80s, Dad. You're starting to lose your adulthood while I'm starting to gain my adulthood. Now, I'm probably better off for handling the doctors than you. Dad, you should have stayed home. Did you tell the doctors about Mother's drinking problem so that she didn't lose her liver? Huh? Did you tell Mom about not drinking? Did you take responsibility? Did you act like an adult? When Mom came in and went for the lacquer cabinet, did you act like an adult? Were you able to handle this? Were you able to talk to the doctors about your wife's real problems? Were you able to be an adult with those doctors and inform them about the information they needed about your wife's liver? Because I wasn't planning on doing that. I was just going to sit by her side quietly and let my father handle it. But I was absolutely able to handle my mother dying in a hospital after seeing as much destruction, sickness, the shit I've seen in my lifetime. I can handle that. But you know what? My father couldn't. He couldn't inform the doctor. He couldn't tell his wife to not drink with her liver failing. He couldn't act like an adult, and that's not his fault. When you hit 65, you start turning back into a child. By the time you are 90, you are a child again. That is why I'm asking my father to handle this, and then I have to act all nice to him. But if he tries to run away again, then I have to be up his ass mean again, because it's the only way. I'm not fucking letting this go. He is not running away from this. No more fucking running. I will be nice and handle this with him, or I'll be upset and chasing him down. One or the other. But I'm not going to live in a fantasy world and give my life as a present to my father. My internal organs, my body is not a plaything for him and his wife. As much as he wants me to take his little secret to the grave, that's not an option. That is not an option. So I have been nice for 25 years about this. It's time that he handles this. Now, he's still avoiding me, he's still trying everything, and he still bears false witness against me and gets me hurt. I can't even get medical care thanks to that guy. It's so sad that I have to live like this because other people continue to want to avoid responsibility. It's like a landlord who wants to lie about holes. Oh, the tenants must have sprayed the inside pipes with water somehow. They're water pipes that have been rusting for 15 years. You can see it. Oh, and the mold in the windows? The tenants must have done that too somehow. The moldy window holes have been there for 3 rows of tenants. This is so ridiculous, these lies. He even lied right in front of the judge. He tried to pass me a piece of paper when the judge left the room. I said, wait until the judge comes back in and I'll take it. Then the judge comes back in and the guy says, I tried to give this to Zach this morning and he refused to take it. And then he gives it to me. And then the judge gives me a look like, if he wants to give you something in the morning before court, he's allowed to, and I know this. At this time, they speak my turn. At my turn, I say, you can ask your bailiff right there. The paper he says he gave me this morning, he gave me 3 minutes ago when you left the room. And then the judge looks at him like, how dare you lie to me and mislead me with false statements. And then he looks at the bailiff, and the bailiff is nodding his head. Yup. I said, yes, that was only an attempt to mislead the court. And then the judge is like, oh, this is what's happening. But still, I'm the one who's poor, can't understand what's going on. So I'm the one who gets run over. I'm the one that constantly gets taken advantage of. Now, my father does the same thing. I go to the doctors. The doctors are like, oh, something's really wrong with this guy. He's bleeding. Something's been going on for 25 years. We know that. So they call my father. They try to get some Social Security records. They try to figure out what's going on with me. And my father shuts all help off. She goes, don't help Zach. He's a fantasy teller. Yeah, it's just a mental illness. Yeah, we got paperwork. We paid a bunch of psych doctors to write stuff on there. Well, prove that. Prove to me in a machine or some results, because showing me paperwork where your mother told a story to a psychiatrist and then the psychiatrist wrote it down, Dad, that's not proof. That just means you spent a lot of money with your wife. That means you brought your wife to a psychiatrist writing a book, you paid him, and he wrote down what your wife was saying. Because when your kid has no power, he has no protections, it's up to the mother and father to protect their child. So, if the mother is the one hurting and making up stories about the child, guess what? He's defenseless, Dad. You fucked him. You poisoned him. You destroyed him. You bared false witness against him, 2 doctors. You stole his fucking swimming medal away. Your little orphan son won a swimming medal at the YMCA because he treaded water the longest. He wanted to show it to you because you're his new adopted parents. And what do you say about that? Do you say, good job? Do you say, thank you for being a good son and showing me that? Do you say, oh, that's so nice, we're going to hang it right on the wall? No, my mother says that there must be a black kid. I'm no good. The writing on the back with my name on it means I'm out to get her. I must be out to get her. And her mental illness goes nuts. Then I'm getting medicated over it because my mother is talking about this shit at the doctors, making up stories about this medal, and my father is nodding his head in agreement. So I get drugs put in my body, but it doesn't stop there. My mother gives me extra drugs whenever she goddamn feels like it.